What do you do if you transmigrate into a CEO novel where the female lead runs away with the baby? Thanks for asking. I just transmigrated, and I'm currently sitting on the bed, smoking the male lead cigar, deeply pondering how to prevent the running away with the baby plot from unfolding. The original plot was that the female lead was tricked by her best friend, and the male lead, by a twist of fate, entered the wrong room, leading to the male and female lead successfully sleeping together. And the point at which I transmigrated was right after sleeping with the male lead. I feigned deep regret, thinking that if I had transmigrated a little earlier, I might have been able to experience whether the CEO's waist was good or not. Cough. Sorry, my thoughts wandered. I got up, picked up a crumpled piece of paper from the floor, then unlocked my phone with my fingerprint and dialed the number I knew by heart. 911. Hello, police. I want to report a crime. I've been raped. The moment the male lead CEO of this book was taken away by the police, I immediately rushed downstairs to the pharmacy and bought 2 boxes of birth control pills, decisively preventing any balls from appearing. Having done all that, I clapped my hands, applauding my own decisiveness. The plot, bring it on. I hummed a tune on my way home, only to hear a whiny cry, like a boiling kettle. I rubbed my ears as I went in, only to be yelled at and kicked out, along with my suitcase. I raised you this big, and you actually seduced your sister's fiancé. Don't call me dad. I no longer have a daughter like you. Get out of this house. From this day forward, I disown you. I glanced at the kettle inside the suitcase, then at the burst ball in front of me, and without hesitation, pulled the suitcase and left. As soon as I stepped out, I saw a stretched limousine parked in front of me. The door opened, and George's sharp gaze fell upon me. Withdraw the lawsuit, or I'll bankrupt the Stewart family by tomorrow. I effectively raised my hand to block the non-existent sunlight, squinted my eyes, and said coldly, "It's getting cold, let the Stewart family go bankrupt." As soon as I finished speaking, I immediately felt a look like I was a lunatic fall upon me. The next second, I turned my head and revealed a flattering smile. You ruin the Stewart family and give me $1 million, and I'll withdraw the lawsuit immediately. George's wicked smile, just about to form, froze halfway. Deal, you're amazing, boss. I gave him a thumbs up, then followed him to withdraw the lawsuit. The next day, I received $1 million in my account and saw news of the Stewart family's bankruptcy in the newspaper. I rented an apartment and, after 2 months of being a couch potato, suddenly realized I needed to find a job. After all, $1 million isn't enough for my retirement, so I immediately bought a pink electric scooter, registered as a green teen rider, and began my food delivery journey. Ding, you have a new order. Please deliver it promptly. My phone rang, and I stood in the drink shop, looking at a pile of bubble teas, lost in thought. How am I going to deliver all of this? Luckily, the delivery location was in the building next door, so I carefully carried everything with both hands and walked in. The receptionist led me up to the 10th floor. As the elevator doors opened, I cleared my throat and shouted, "Is Miss Lisa there? Your delivery." "Here it is, thank you." A stylishly dressed woman walked over with a smile and took the takeout. "Mr. George ordered bubble tea for us. Everyone come and get it." I wiped my sweat and gave a professional smile. "Remember to leave a good review." I turned to wait for the elevator. When it opened, I saw an acquaintance, the male protagonist of this article, George. I blinked, immediately took a step back pretending not to recognize him, and then rushed into the elevator. But it seemed I rushed a bit too hard. I felt a dizzy spell, and the next second, I lost consciousness. When I woke up again, the familiar smell of disinfectant told me I was probably in a hospital. I sat up and saw a checkup slip on the table next to me. I picked it up and, in an instant, felt like my world had collapsed. Pregnant? Pregnant with what? I clearly took 2 birth control pills. How could I still be pregnant? I threw off the covers, jumped out of bed, and rushed to the prenatal checkup department, slapping the slip onto the doctor's desk. "I want an abortion, right now." Immediately, the doctor was startled by me, and then I saw a familiar face standing next to the doctor. It was him again. "George, now this is your fault." I preempted him, looking his way. "If you don't want kids, just say so. I don't want them either. But you can't secretly conspire with the doctor to mess with me." George was slightly stunned. He indeed didn't want children, but if she insisted on having them, he could pay child support, but her attitude, George frowned slightly. He seemed to feel that his seed was being despised. Since you don't want it either, then let's get rid of it. As George finished speaking, I quickly nodded. No time like the present, let's do it today. Today's abortion appointments are fully booked. Please scan the QR code to download the app and book for tomorrow, the doctor spoke. Suppressing her temper, looking at the two with displeasure, these young people nowadays, they don't take any responsibility for the little lives in their bellies. I patted my pocket and suddenly remembered I hadn't brought my phone, so I looked at George. I left my phone in the ward. Could you help me scan this? George paused, took out his phone, and scanned it. When filling out the relationship status, he selected couple. George drove me back to my apartment. As I was getting out of the car, George suddenly spoke. I'll go with you to the hospital tomorrow. I paused, then nodded. Okay. Back home, I lay on my bed, ready to pull out my phone and complain to the manufacturer about producing fake birth control pills. But then I suddenly remembered a few CEO novels I'd read before, where the female lead gets pregnant and runs away. The female protagonist, pregnant with quintuplets, sextuplets, septuplets, octuplets, nonuplets, or decuplets, is either pushed down the stairs, or designed by the vicious female antagonist to fall off a cliff, or kicked in the stomach by the CEO male protagonist who despises her. In short, no matter how much she's put through, the end result is always the same. 3, 4, or 5 years later, the female protagonist returns from abroad with her genius children. Thinking about it that way, you can't really blame the birth control for not working well. But, give birth to what? To be a single mother with a child before even getting married. And then wait for the child to play matchmaker and marry her father. Isn't this using a child to trap a husband? After my furious rant, I opened a novel about a CEO chasing his wife, who ran away with his child, and read it with great relish. It's really good. The next day, I was woken up by a call from the CEO. I went to the hospital and had just entered the operating room. Snap, the power went out. I was sent out. Come back tomorrow. On the third day, before I even entered the operating room, I heard someone shout, "Fire, fire." Doctors and nurses quickly helped patients evacuate downstairs in an orderly manner. I sighed, pulled the CEO, and waved to the doctor. I'll come back tomorrow. On the fourth day, a hostage situation occurred in the hospital's obstetrics and gynecology department. On the fifth day, someone planted a bomb in the hospital. On the sixth day, right after I made an appointment, the doctor called me. "Don't come in, I've booked you an appointment at the hospital next door." Thanks. I hung up the phone, got dressed, and just as I reached the hospital next door, I saw the police had set up a cordon, blocking everyone outside. I looked up at the person on the roof, about to jump, and silently glanced at George. "Why don't you go to work first? It seems I can't have an abortion today either." Sitting in George's car, I rested my chin in my hand and looked down at my belly. "Son, you must be Conan reincarnated." Just as I was frowning in thought, the CEO spoke. "Stay, I feel he has a connection with us." And so, he took me back to his exquisitely furnished apartment, the 27th floor. A meticulously renovated 200 square meter apartment, like a country bumpkin who'd never seen the world. I was led into the guest room by George. "You'll live here from now on. A nanny will come to look after you during the day, and I'll be back in the evening. Text me if you need anything." Okay. I moved into George's house, spending my days eating and drinking, taking strolls downstairs with the young nanny, and dancing square dances with the elderly ladies. I was living a life of early retirement. I have to say, the nannies hired by the CEO's family are all beautiful, young, and considerate. Occasionally, when George came home early, he would even cook a nutritious meal with the nanny himself. Wearing a loose-fitting t-shirt, busied myself alongside them, like a very competent housemate. As the three of us were busy in the kitchen, the door suddenly opened. He and I turned our heads at the same time to see a beautiful young woman at the doorway looking at us in surprise. I subconsciously took a step back, wanting to say, "Miss, don't misunderstand," but then I thought, with a child already on the way, that phrase would sound too green tea, so I shut my mouth and discreetly prepared to go back inside. Before I could even get back to my room, George had already chased after her. I quietly peeked from behind the door, munching on my melon gossip. Listening to the young ladies crying and George's explanations, I hesitated, looking at the melon seeds on the coffee table, wanting to grab some but afraid of missing out on the gossip. In my dilemma, I still chose to continue listening to the melon. You broke up with me, was it because of her? You were the one who broke up with me first. You were the one who let go of me first. Before, you always used to coax me back. I hate you, Luna. Stop being so childish. I'm willful. Your family despises me, and you're secretly engaged to the eldest daughter of the Stewart family. Am I being willful? Just when you finally cancelled your engagement, you went behind my back and found another slut. I endured pressure to be with you, repeatedly telling Xia Jishi that I loved you and asking her to break off the engagement. I tried hard to get my family to accept you, but you always pick fights with me. If you hadn't called me that day to break up, I wouldn't have gotten drunk and been drugged. I've been trying to contact you, but you've blocked all my contact methods. Luna, no one will tolerate your capriciousness forever. I get tired too. I quietly peeked out half my head, and I was thoroughly enjoying this drama. President George has an unforgettable first love and white moonlight, Luna, in the novel. She has always been a stumbling block on the path to the female and male leads getting together. Upon seeing him today, I realized that the president was also one of the many simp soldiers, simping until he had nothing left. I clicked my tongue and shook my head, continuing to eavesdrop. You used to come to my building to find me, you would wait for me all night. You said you'd wait for me no matter what. Luna burst into tears, drawing the attention of the auntie next door who opened her door to see what was happening. Did your husband cheat on you? The auntie had appeared beside me at some point, and I sincerely shook my head. I was the one who took advantage of the situation and became the mistress. Auntie, do you believe me? The aunt shook her head solemnly. Look at that young girl, she's so delicate and beautiful, and when she cries, she's like a fairy from a TV show. Look at you, with uncombed hair and an unwashed face. If you were the mistress, then I'd be dodgy, bringing ruin to the country and its people. I gave her a thumbs up, praising her. Auntie, you're quite up with the times, so, do you need Auntie to help you come up with a plan to get rid of this little vixen? I looked at the auntie's eager and excited eyes and smiled slightly. I just love it when others like him but can't have him. My nanny also came out. She was unfazed by such a scene. Stop watching, let's eat. Okay, it turns out that even a CEO can be heartbroken by a breakup. At the silent dinner table, I awkwardly didn't know what to say to comfort the heartbroken man in front of me. I can't exactly pat him on the shoulder and say, bye-bye, bye-bye, the next one will be even better, can I? After much thought, I finally dared to speak. Actually, I have a friend. Before I could finish, his gaze made me swallow the words of comfort I was about to offer. All right, a heartbroken CEO doesn't need friends. The CEO began drinking daily. I watched him get blackout drunk every time, and out of humanitarian concern, I draped a thin blanket over him. The next second, I was abruptly pulled into his arms. A stench of alcohol hit my nose, and I instantly couldn't hold it in. Ugh, ugh. The CEO and I both threw up at the same time. After he finished throwing up, he finally regained some sense and went to the bathroom to continue. And ugh, it turns out, pregnant women should stay far away from drunks. The next day, the nanny opened the door and almost turned around and left. Overwhelmed by the smell, seeing me, pale and huddled in the corner, she mustered the courage to come in, open the windows for ventilation, put on a mask, and start cleaning up. After that experience, I developed a condition, a sickness that made me vomit whenever I saw George, or George-induced emesis, for short. I went to the hospital, and the doctor just said it was a psychological issue. Upon hearing that, I instinctively looked up at George, and couldn't hold it in again. Ugh, George's mouth twitched, and he silently put on a mask. Since then, he has never touched a drop of alcohol. Perhaps he blamed the alcohol for me throwing up whenever I saw him, which might have given him some comfort. At 4 months, my belly started to show a small bump. It wasn't noticeable unless you looked closely. Being pregnant was incredibly boring, so I went out shopping by myself, at the mall. I ran into the CEO's first love, Luna. Luna stared at my belly with a fierce look, but I didn't care at all. Hilarious. If you can manage to kill the baby in my belly, I'll admit defeat. Then I was pushed off the elevator. What the hell? You ambushed me. You can't play fair. You little piece of trash. You're inhumane. that melody instinctively played in my mind, and with it, I fell to the ground, feeling pain all over my body, except for my stomach, which felt nothing at all, as expected. In the world of Pregnant CEO on the Run novels, pregnancy is like gaining an invincible golden body. The passive skill is to protect the baby first, then the mother. When taking damage, before I lost consciousness, I heard Luna crying as she jumped off me, seemingly into someone's arms. I didn't mean to, I just couldn't stand her deliberately flaunting her belly in front of me. Boo-hoo-hoo. I mustered my last bit of strength to raise my hand and gave her an international friendly gesture. Flaunt your mother's big ass. I'm a goofball, but I'm not an idiot. After waking up in the hospital, I decisively called the police. The CEO hesitated, wanting to plead for Luna. The moment he opened his mouth, I threw up so much that stomach acid came out. He quickly called for a doctor, who just shook their head and said it was normal morning sickness. I know why. It's because he's too close to me, and I just find him disgusting. George stopped working and personally attended to me in the hospital. Luna was detained, and I completely became the boss, watching George cater to my every need, as obsequious as a sycophant. After recuperating for over half a month, I was back to being lively and energetic. George would always look at me, on the verge of saying something but holding back. Live and let live, I told myself. Then went to the detention center to visit Luna. As long as she offered a sincere apology, I would forgive her. When she cursed me as a homewrecker through the phone receiver, separated by glass, I made up my mind. Damn your motherfucking ass. Ahem, my apologies. I threw the video of Luna's outburst at George. It's not that I don't want to forgive her, it's that she shows no sign of remorse. I sat cross-legged, waiting for George to continue pleading, so that the underworld conversation I had prepared for days would finally have its use. To my surprise, George simply hummed and said nothing more. Aren't you going to keep pleading? I tentatively asked him. I never intended to plead for her. Then why have you been looking at me, wanting to speak but holding back, all this time? The book says pregnant women shouldn't be too fat, it can lead to difficult labor. Are you telling me how to do my job? I returned to my room, my face dark, and looked down at my growing belly and legs that were swollen beyond belief. Tears immediately welled up in my eyes. So why have a damn child? Give me back my youth and beauty. Luna's family bailed her out. The moment I opened the door, I saw a middle-aged couple kneeling at my doorstep. Miss, it's all Luna's fault. We've come to apologize to you on her behalf. I quickly took a step back. She has already received the appropriate punishment. You don't need to apologize again. Luna is a headstrong and extreme child. We failed in raising her and ruined her. I paused, pulled out my phone from my pocket, and called George. When it didn't go through, I took a video and sent it to him. If you don't intervene, they'll practically bash their heads against the door to apologize. I typed and sent the message, then looked at the two of them. Just hold on a little longer, George will be back soon. Then I decisively closed the door and went back to watch TV. 2 hours later, George returned. He sweet-talked the two of them into leaving, then took out his keys and came back inside. If they come again, just call the police. Oh, wow, look at that. Is that something a CEO would say? Call the police. Are you looking down on yourself? I pouted and waved him off. Got it, got it. George went back to work, and the nanny accompanied me to a nearby mall. We'd stroll for 10 minutes, then rest for half an hour. I was so comfortable in the massage chair that I didn't want to get up. A pungent fragrance wafted over, and I opened my eyes to see a well-dressed woman smiling at me. So you're the woman who pushed Luna out. She was dancing on the edge of the law herself. I sighed, wondering why this Luna was everyone's darling, with everyone coming to me because of her. I'm Tina, George's sister. He and Luna were on again, off again for 8 years. This sudden, heartless breakup isn't like him at all, Tina said, sitting in the massage chair next to me, and poked my arm, gesturing for me to look the other way. Following her gaze, I was stunned. Wow, whose boy was that, so handsome and roguish? Instantly capturing my heart, my little heart pounded. I wiped away some drool, and gazed at him, utterly captivated. I wish he were my son. Tina suddenly leaned in and whispered in my ear, leave George, and I'll give you 100 million, enough for you to keep him for life. That's a good deal. I blinked, just about to agree, when suddenly I felt a kick in my stomach. I hissed, looking down to glare at my belly. "What are you protesting about?" Another kick, and I instantly grimaced in pain. "Stop kicking, I am eternally loyal to your father, and my love for him knows no bounds." I took a deep breath and smiled at Tina. Is the CEO not charming enough anymore, or can he no longer move his slender waist? I watched Tina's smile instantly freeze at the corners of her mouth. I winked at her and got up to leave, back home, waiting for George to return. I was the first to complain. "Your sister bought you a green hat." George sat on the sofa, looking a bit tired. Trying to understand what I meant. "Your sister found a toy boy she wants me to keep, and she said she'd give me 100 million. George looked at me when he heard that. "Then what?" "Then I refused." I spoke righteously, trying to get some benefits from him. "All her money was given by me." George's words struck like lightning, and I immediately stood up and rushed out. "Where are you going?" George stopped me. I pushed him, of course. "I'm going to find her and ask if what she said today still counts." George suddenly burst out laughing. "After you give birth, you'll get more than 100 million. Are you going to name me as the beneficiary of your accidental death insurance?" I instantly looked at him with anticipation. George's smile also froze at the corners of his mouth. Actually, the brother and sister looked quite alike. Sitting back on the sofa, he pulled out a document for me, which contained an agreement statement and a share transfer deed. "This is my first child, so I will transfer 3% of my shares to him, until he comes of age. These shares will be held by you." I flipped through a few pages. Most of it was directed at me. I had no right to sell these shares, and if I remarried, the shares would be held in trust by a lawyer until the child came of age, at which point they would be given to him. "No need, after this child is born. If you want to keep them, you can, or if you don't, that's fine too. I won't bother you. If you don't want to raise them, then just pay me child support on time each month, and I'll raise them." You can sign such an agreement directly with him when he comes of age. There's no need to sign it now. This is also for your protection. Then you might as well buy yourself an accident insurance policy and name me as the beneficiary. That way, I'll have a reason to live. "Olivia!" George suddenly shouted my name sharply, startling me. I flinched and looked up at him. "If you don't agree, you don't agree. I'm pregnant, and scaring me isn't good for the baby." I suddenly felt annoyed and got up to go back to my room. After last night, George and I were suddenly at an all-time low. He came home late, and I was already asleep. He left early for work, and I didn't lazily get out of bed until noon. This situation continued until I was hospitalized for childbirth. The nanny had been diligently taking care of me, and every time the head nurse came to take my blood pressure, she would carefully avoid my husband's words. It wasn't until my water broke that I saw him appear at the hospital. Giving birth was too painful. I cried until I had no strength left, and the doctor, unable to do anything with me, went out to explain the situation to George. I went from a natural birth to a C-section. After I woke up, the nurse brought the baby for me to see, but I closed my eyes and turned my head away, refusing to look at the child. "Take him away." It wasn't that I didn't want to see him, it was just that the pain from the incision made me irritable with everyone. George came to see me, and Tina did too, but I refused to see anyone. At night, I would inexplicably cry uncontrollably. This continued for a month until George reappeared and brought me and the children home. Overhearing a conversation between Tina and George, I realized I had postpartum depression. No wonder the nanny kept looking at me as if she wanted to say something ever since I came back. And George slept in the living room at night, not allowing me to lock my bedroom door. A sudden thought struck me. They must be conspiring against me, trying to get me committed to a mental hospital to make room for the female lead. I opened my bedroom window and looked down. Never mind, using bedsheets to make a rope and escape isn't very realistic. Just as I pulled back, intending to close the window, a pair of hands grabbed me by the waist and pulled me down. "What are you doing?" "I'll open the window and enjoy the night view." I gave him a kind smile, and then Tina walked in. "I know a doctor abroad, given her condition. It's best to have her see a doctor overseas." Tina's words instantly put me on high alert. Here it comes, the standard trope of a CEO romance novel with a secret child. Years later, the female lead returns from abroad. I immediately hugged George's waist. "You're so cruel. You're trying to keep the child and get rid of the mother." I tried my best to imitate a mournful tone to show my sadness at not wanting to go abroad. "George, who had some hesitation on his face. Instantly looked at Tina when he heard my beautiful voice. "What's that doctor's phone number? I'll give you his private contact information." Tina gave me a triumphant wink before she left, and I sat on the bed, questioning my life, looking at my son who was still in his swaddling clothes. "I want to take him with me." "Okay." George agreed to my request, and I immediately raised my hand and slapped myself. "You ran your mouth. And now I'm really taking the child and moving abroad." George personally saw me off at the plane. I held the child, feeling wronged, and peered out the window at the fluffy white clouds. The child suddenly cried out, and I fumbled, not knowing how to comfort them. A girl, who looked about 13 or 14, took off her headphones and skillfully took the child from my arms. "Be a good baby." I watched her expertly soothe the child and immediately gave her a thumbs up. She rolled her eyes at me, but I didn't mind. After getting off the plane, I stood at the airport entrance, feeling utterly bewildered. That scoundrel George didn't give me any money. I was penniless, didn't know the way, and couldn't speak a foreign language. Heaven was surely abandoning my son and me. Just as I was feeling sorry for myself, the little girl suddenly reappeared before me. Seeing her look like she was waiting for me to beg her, I quickly ran over, sat down in front of her, and hugged her leg. "You can't abandon us, mother and child. You can't be like that scumbag, ungrateful and irresponsible." After getting what he wanted, after wailing, I smacked my lips, feeling like something was off about my wailing. I thought about it carefully, and well, maybe I was off key. I looked at the young girl's disdainful expression, and seeing her inwardly smiling, I gave her a friendly smile. I was picked up by her and brought home, a little girl, living alone in a villa. I immediately felt I had latched onto the right person. This little girl must be a little rich kid. "My name is Sarah, and it just so happens I need a mom. You can be my mom, considerate rent." I was stunned. Could such a bold move even exist? After a long pause, I finally spoke. "Is this villa, is it an inheritance your father left you?" As soon as I finished speaking, I saw Sarah, who was drinking water, spit it out, choking her for a long time before she recovered. Probably. Sarah's mouth twitched twice, and she subconsciously glanced at the surveillance camera in the living room. So I settled in here. Every day, Sarah, this young girl, would wake up, make breakfast, and go to class. In the afternoon, she'd come back, make dinner, then take me out for a walk and help me soothe the baby. I have to say, having a daughter like her is truly delightful, but it seems she also calls me Mom, very naturally. "Mom, how many times do I have to tell you, he's a boy? Can you please stop putting him in dresses?" Listening to Sarah's roar, I calmly took a sip of my tea. For the baby's 100-day celebration, Sarah somehow got a bunch of gifts and threw a party. I sternly lectured her. "Little children shouldn't waste money, you should know." I found a penny by the roadside, and gave it to the police officer. "Have you fed the baby? Did you cut Rose's hair? Have you cleaned the bathroom? Did you wash your hair like I told you to?" Listening to Sarah's motherly interrogation, I guiltily shut my mouth. When under someone else's roof, one has to lower their head. There were a lot of people at the party, and everyone was wearing masks. After Sarah put my mask on for me, she kicked me out the door. "I'll watch Rose. You go entertain the guests." Not respectful of elders or caring for the young at all, I walked downstairs. But everyone had somehow dispersed and left with a bang, except for one man wearing a Peppa Pig mask who remained. I walked up to him and snorted twice. "Hey, George." The man took off his mask, revealing his face. "I've come to take you home." "Oh, it's that scoundrel George." I'm determined not to go back to an ex, even though I've never actually had one to go back to. But hey, it's good to have aspirations. I'm already married to someone else. And my daughter is 14, if you don't believe me. Go upstairs and see. I raised my hand and pointed to my room. Sarah then came out of the room, holding Rose, and called out to George, "Dad." My hand instantly trembled, and I looked up at her. "Sarah, I know your dad died young, but this habit of yours, claiming random people as your father, isn't good." The moment I finished speaking, I felt a chill down my spine. I glanced back at George, whose smile was frozen on his face, and blinked innocently. "I've returned to China, bringing Sarah and Rose with me. Do you mind that I have a daughter? She is my biological daughter. You just love raising other people's daughters that much?" "No, You just love raising other people's daughters that much. That's not right either. Hold on, let me rephrase that. I raised my hand to stop them, then sat in the car, lost in thought. Sarah spoke up at that moment. I'll take Rose to Auntie's house first. Let Uncle Wong drive you, okay? Watching their practiced interaction, I suddenly realized, you want to raise a child bride. Sarah is underage. I'm calling the police. I had just taken out my phone when he snatched it from my hand, threatening me without even looking up. Everyone in the police station is on my side. Calling the police won't do you any good. Then what will it take for you to let Sarah go? I watched him come closer and closer, and suddenly a kiss landed on my lips. Then how about you take her place as my favorite? Wait. Isn't this supposed to be a CEO novel about a woman on the run with a child? How did it suddenly turn into a Yandere CEO story? I tried to push him away, but he held me captive in his arms. Let's make a deal. I'll let Sarah go, and you'll be my woman. Deal. For Sarah, I could only swallow my saliva. Oh no, I could only give myself to him with tears in my eyes. The original plot of a husband chasing his wife through a crematorium suddenly and inexplicably turned into a doppelganger trope. But George's sudden passion and suggestive remarks almost made me unable to resist. At night, he climbed into bed, pressing against me and sighing softly into my ear. I've waited a year, wife. I succumbed to his deep, magnetic voice, drowned in his tender, deep kisses. But just as he was about to get to the point, I suddenly pulled back to my senses, pushing him away with my hands against his chest. Who's your wife? We haven't even registered our marriage yet. Tomorrow, then. He tried to kiss me again, but I dodged him. No, my mom taught me from a young age not to get on the bus before buying a ticket. Any sex not aimed at marriage is just messing around. Your mom was lying to you. Impossible. This is my mom's 60 years of experience. As soon as I said that, my butt was suddenly slapped hard. Your mom definitely didn't tell you to shut your mouth when you're doing things in bed. Why didn't you tell me to shut up when you were using it? I rolled my eyes. And then he slapped me several times in a row. I rubbed my sore buttocks, feeling wronged, and buried my face in the pillow. It turned out that my mouth couldn't make the CEO delay his business. I have to say, no matter what type of CEO novel it is, the CEOs in them are always skilled, always making you feel that sleeping with them once is worth it. These past few days, I've been sleeping wonderfully, feeling refreshed. It's true, a harmonious marital life means no more aching legs or sore back. I even have the energy to climb stairs. Now I can climb 2 flights without getting tired. I tucked my feet into George's belly to warm them, and he placed his laptop on my lap to work. As I scrolled through my phone, I saw a new co-branded phone and was instantly smitten. I checked my account balance and only had 1 million. I paused, then set my sights on George. Grandpa enjoyed several nights of passion, and while it was consensual, it was also a fair transaction. I gave him a flirtatious wink. If your eyes are dry, go put in some eye drops. This old lady is flirting. I huffily withdrew my foot and sat down with my back to him, fuming. A moment later, I heard him sigh softly, lean in, and say, "Those one-night stand earnings won't last forever. Why don't you marry me? Then all my assets will be yours." I continued to fume. How many assets could you possibly have? This house is worth 230 million on the market. Honey, I decided to cling to him, from today onwards. You're my old baby. I compromised with great integrity. After getting the marriage certificate and watching the staff stamp it, I pulled George and sat down at the divorce window next door. The staff were stunned, and George's face darkened. I raised an eyebrow, took a number, and smugly flicked the paper at him to show off. Once we're divorced, half of your assets are mine. Half an hour, 10 yuan for over 100 million. I'm making a killing. George glanced at me indifferently. His legs crossed. Under the new civil code, the house I bought outright before marriage is my private property. If we divorce, you won't get a single cent. Joy turning to sorrow. That probably describes me. Let's go home. Sarah and Rose are still waiting for us. Okay, I nodded, and we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau hand in hand. Wife, a kiss suddenly landed on my lips. I smacked my lips and jumped onto his back. I'm tired. Carry me home. The lingering glow of the sunset stretched long. I smiled, took the opportunity to kiss him on the cheek, and then reached out and slapped his butt. Giddy up, charge, brave little bull, fear no challenge. My name is Sarah, and I'm 14 this year. The little one in my arms is my younger brother, Eric. My dad's name is George, and he's a psychologist. My mom, Olivia, suffers from a delusion of transmigrating into books. And she's been my dad's patient for half his life. As for how he treats her, as you can see, he cooperates with her, he acts, she's in her 30s, and my dad is almost 40, yet he still has to play along in a drama where a domineering CEO falls in love with her. His ability to spout CEO catchphrases on demand is truly impressive. Ever since I was little, I knew my mom wasn't like other moms who would take me to amusement parks or tell me fairy tales before bed. It wasn't that she wouldn't tell me, but my dad explicitly forbade her from doing so, because what she told me were web novels, and every time my aunt brought it up, she'd laugh hysterically, saying that when I was little, I'd go to kindergarten and seriously recite to the teacher how a domineering CEO cornered the female lead on the bed, lifted her chin with an evil smirk, and said, "Woman, you successfully caught my attention." Of course, I have no memory of any of this. When I started elementary school, I entered my rebellious phase, knowing my mom was ill. I always gave her a hard time when I came home. It was quite a coincidence. During that time, she was fantasizing about transmigrating into a CEO novel where the protagonist becomes a stepmother at the beginning, and I was the CEO's daughter who wouldn't accept her. I came home with injuries almost every day because my classmates at school would say my mom was mentally ill. I didn't know how to argue back, so I could only resort to fighting. When the teacher reported this to my dad, my mom overheard it. She immediately rushed to the school, fiercely adjusting her big wavy curls that cost her 3,000 yuan. "Who's been bullying my daughter? Aren't you ashamed? Kids fighting. 5 or 6 little boys can't beat my daughter, so they go tattling. My poor daughter's tiny frame has endured too much, boo-hoo-hoo." When my dad arrived, carrying me, he saw her imperiously pointing at those parents and scolding them fiercely, but no one dared to talk back. After all, no one dared to provoke a patient. My dad told me that whenever I came home with injuries, she would secretly sneak into my room at night and sleep while holding me. Even though she was mischievous, she truly loved me. Moved, I threw myself into her arms when she came out and called out, "Mom, oh, my precious daughter." She smiled as she picked me up, and together with my dad, we walked out of school and got into the car, where she wiped away my tears. "Even though I'm your stepmother, I promise I'll treat you like my own daughter." My tears instantly stopped, and the feeling of being touched vanished. My small body and mind had truly endured too much. I thought my life would just be like this, and I gradually accepted that my mom would occasionally transmigrate into a book, occasionally playing a role in her world. Watching her, old as she was, still thinking she was 18, my complaining gene was gradually awakening. When I was 13, my mom, an old clam, gave birth to a pearl. My dad was very happy, and my aunt was also very happy. My aunt said that our family was about to welcome another best actor. My dad said he accidentally didn't take precautions, blaming my mom for being too proactive. My mom said, "Hello, police, I want to report a rape." She transmigrated into a book again, this time into a CEO novel with a one-child one-treasure plot, where she runs away pregnant. And this time, I didn't even have a role, not even my cousin Luna had one, but I didn't. But my dad gave me an insignificant role, a nanny. As an older mother, my mom's pregnancy sickness was terrifyingly severe, often making her vomit uncontrollably. The doctor suggested an abortion. My dad tried to persuade my mom to have an abortion, but she seemed to sense something, always finding excuses to avoid it. We finally managed to coax her into the operating room, but the next second she ran out, claiming there was a power outage. Others tried to persuade her, but my mother simply ignored them. She only reacted when it was time to follow the script, so we had no choice but to continue playing along. It was the first time I saw my father so worried that a few white hairs appeared at his temples. Nearing 40, he actually resorted to drinking to drown his sorrows. As a result, my mother smelled the alcohol on him and vomited even more violently. My mother seemed to be holding a grudge. From then on, whenever she saw my father, she would vomit even more severely. My father was at his wit's end and could only have me watch over my mother during the day while he quietly kept vigil at night. Though I am young and have read about love in literature, I know that none of it compares to even a fraction of my dad's love for my mom. The child was successfully born, but almost received a critical condition notice. I sat with my dad outside the delivery room and noticed for the first time the wrinkles on his face. He seemed to have aged, but thankfully, in the end, both mother and child were safe. My mom was bedridden for a month before she could get up. During that time, she barely spoke, not even to my dad. She had postpartum depression. My family tried everything, and finally, I spoke up. Aren't we in a running away with the baby storyline right now? According to the plot, after she gives birth, she should be abroad and only return years later. Then the CEO will desperately pursue her. Let her follow the plot. My suggestion finally brought a smile to my dad's face. Okay, we'll listen to Sarah. I had been an exchange student in Country Y for a year before, so I was familiar with the area and knew all the neighbors. I went to Country Y with my mom, and we rented 2 adjacent houses there. We have a surveillance camera at home, which my dad uses to watch my mom from next door. He doesn't trust her, but my mom, who always speaks unexpectedly, asked, "Is this villa your dad's inheritance to you?" I spat out a mouthful of water, almost choking to death on the spot. I imagine my father, watching the surveillance from next door, must be feeling very depressed at this moment. This life continued for a year, and her postpartum depression recovered, as did her physical health. I watched my old father happily return to his country to dye his hair, then happily come back to coax my mother home. Love truly is something that nourishes a person. Listening to my dad spouting embarrassing CEO quotes, I decisively took Rose to my aunt's house. It turns out that an old CEO isn't suited to spouting CEO quotes anymore. It's quite an eyesore, but my mom, coincidentally, is exactly the type to fall for it. Alright, well, in other families, a kiss between middle-aged spouses can lead to nightmares for several nights. When my parents kiss, they both get excited like idiots. They got another certificate. We already have a box full of fake marriage certificates at home, and my aunt even bought another box of fake marriage certificates for my dad from online. So, my family's marriage certificates are hoarded by the box. There are many such examples, like my dad's wardrobe with over a dozen suits, the standard attire for a CEO. Times change, but the CEOs in romance novels, year after year, always appear in suits or shirtless in bed. Therefore, I even posted online, pleading with authors to please let the CEO in romance novels make his first appearance without a suit, so my dad can also change his clothes. Then, a great author reposted it. "Your dad is a CEO." I thought about it and gave a fair answer. In my mom's world, he is a CEO. The author didn't reply to me, probably thinking I was crazy. I closed my computer, listening to the bed next door start creaking again. I'd told them ages ago that the soundproofing in this place was bad, and asked my dad to put up some sound-absorbing cotton, but he wouldn't listen, as my younger brother started kindergarten. I had already begun university. When I went home for summer vacation, my brother told me that our mom said he was the son my dad had with his mistress, and that he was running around the house every day wearing a cuckold's hat. I patted his little head and, with the air of someone who'd been through it, told him, "Our mom is a movie queen. She often practices acting on us, her family. You'll get used to it." My brother understood, and at kindergarten, he bragged to everyone that our mom was a movie queen. The kindergarten teacher complained to me, and I replied to her with a straight face, "My mom really loves acting. Next time there's a kindergarten performance, you can invite her to play." The arrogant CEO falls in love with me for you. When my mom is idle at home, besides acting, her other big hobby is dressing Rose in girls' clothes. My dad's closet, finally, besides suits, welcomed new clothes. My younger brother started elementary school and finally learned to refuse to wear girls' clothes. He became prematurely mature, always looking at our family with a stern face. I finally couldn't help but ask him why he always had a stern face. He told me he was pretending to be a genius. Why does a genius have a stern face? I'm confused. Mom says genius sons always have a cold, aloof face, and then they say, "It's getting cold. Let's bankrupt the Stewart family." But you can't keep up an act for a whole year, can you? I seemed to anticipate something and continued to question him. "You've been acting for so long, and no one has exposed you." He proudly patted his chest and smiled at me. "The little girls in my class all say they want to marry me." "I now have," Rose said, lowering her head and counting on her 10 fingers. then showed off to me, "I have 9 wives now." I rubbed my forehead. "So which novel are you impersonating?" "All 9 of my fiancés are as beautiful as flowers." My aunt loves to indulge in a bit of drama when she has nothing else to do. Before the college entrance exam, I was upset for some personal reasons, watching my mom and dad tirelessly act out different CEO stories. I asked my aunt why my dad ever fell for my mom. "Get out of this house. From this day forward, I disown you." "No, me, every day like this. Aren't you tired? Is this considered love?" I rested my chin on my hand, deep in thought. "How do you know it's not your mom acting along with your dad?" My aunt reached out and flicked my forehead, just as my mom came in, carrying milk and fruit. "Eat up, and then study hard." "Thank you, Mom." I took it, and my dad also walked in. My mom suddenly turned and collapsed into his arms. "My child is gone." My dad cooperatively picked her up and carried her away. I wonder if it's just my imagination, but I think I just saw my mom, in my dad's arms, secretly wink at me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am the real daughter of the James family who was trafficked. When my biological parents found me, I was selling phone cases for $10 each at a street stall. Looking up, I met their disdainful gazes, and suddenly, a barrage of comments floated before my eyes. "The villainous supporting female character has arrived. My poor, fake daughter protagonist now has one more person to bully her. Woo woo, the female lead is so pitiful." Later on, she is either imprisoned by her obsessive stepbrother or physically and emotionally abused by the male lead, until she finally breaks down and chooses to jump off a building to end her life. There's no helping it. This is a tragic story with a bad ending. Once the female lead dies, the male lead and the second male lead will be left with nothing but heartache and regret. Exactly, everyone just bear with it, it gets better later. The male lead and the second male lead will live the rest of their lives consumed by guilt over the female lead. I looked at the comments in confusion. Guilt, regret, what use are these things? Turning to the teary-eyed fake heiress, the man's hand was about to rest on her shoulder. I suddenly stood up and slapped his hand away. "Don't touch her." My action left everyone stunned. And Mrs. James was the first to react. "Anna, what are you doing? Grant is your own brother, according to the DNA report they just provided. I am indeed their daughter without a doubt." I didn't answer, my eyes fixed on Grant, instinctively shielding Sophia behind me, meeting my gaze. Grant adjusted his cuffs as if to cover up, then flashed me a standard 8-tooth smile and began his self-introduction. "Hello Anna, I'm your biological brother. My name is Grant." I ignored the hand he extended. Shouldn't a brother bring a gift when meeting his sister for the first time? Grant glanced awkwardly at our parents and cleared his throat softly. "I came in a hurry and didn't prepare one. I'll make it up to you in a few days." "No worries. I think the watch on your wrist looks quite nice." I've noticed Grant's watch since earlier. It looks like a Rolex or something. Seems quite expensive. Grant glanced down at it. "This is a men's model." "I don't mind." Before Grant could finish his sentence, I cut him off directly. Bullet comments, "The supporting female character is way too greedy, asking for such an expensive watch even before entering the family." Exactly, she has such a narrow mindset. It's like a poor person suddenly getting rich and acting like they've never seen the world. Later, when she returns home, she even steals the female lead's belongings. It's really too much. Can't the author just write her off earlier? In the end, Grant still gave the watch to me. I tossed it directly into my brother Wilson's arms. Wilson had been watching us from the stall all along, and now the corners of his eyes were slightly red. "Boss, if you go with them, what am I supposed to do?" I disdainfully took a tissue to wipe his tears. "Do what you have to do. Let's sell this batch of goods first before anything else. That watch should be quite valuable. Find a reputable second-hand shop to sell it, and make sure you don't get scammed. It should be enough to cover your mom's surgery expenses." Hearing this, Wilson cried even louder. I was startled and slapped the back of his head hard, feeling a bit awkward as I glanced around. "All right, can you tone it down a little? People might think I did something to you." Hearing this, Wilson's crying gradually subsided. I pointed at the black Bentley owned by James's family. "Your sister is going to enjoy a life of luxury, not die. When I make it big later, I'll come find you." Wilson held the watch I gave him with both hands, looking like an abandoned puppy, nodding pitifully at me. I couldn't help but wipe his tears again, then stood up and walked toward James' family. Mrs. James glanced at Wilson with disdain and couldn't help saying, "Anna, are you very familiar with that little punk from earlier? You're going to be a daughter of the James family from now on, so you should still be mindful of boundaries. These little punks clearly don't follow the rules. Don't let him harm you." Mr. James also nodded in agreement, telling me not to have any further contact with these little punks in the future. I smiled and said, "We're not that close. It's just that when my adoptive parents beat me until I was bleeding, it was Wilson and his mom who took me to the hospital. Otherwise, I might have died long ago." That one sentence instantly silenced the room. Mr. and Mrs. James, who had been about to say something, could only exchange awkward glances. I called everyone to get in the car together. I noticed that Sophia didn't seem to want to sit with Grant, so I took the initiative to sit in the middle of the back seat. Grant glanced at me but didn't say anything. The barrage exploded instantly. Here it comes. The female supporting character is starting to compete for favor with the female lead. I'm almost too scared to watch now, just thinking about how the female lead gets bullied even worse later and her adoptive parents treat her poorly. My heart aches for her. It's precisely because of this that the female lead gets brainwashed by the second male lead, believing she's unworthy of love, and it's all because of the female supporting character. The female lead was only adopted by James' family from the orphanage after the supporting female character was trafficked. The tragedy of the supporting female character has nothing to do with her, so why is she blaming the female lead? Why do I feel like the supporting female character was actually helping the female lead just now? It's obvious that the female lead didn't want to sit too close to the second male lead. I think so too. Besides, the supporting female character took the watch to help her good friend's mother pay for medical treatment. Are the people upstairs blind or something? No matter what, the fact remains that she later hurt the female lead. Just wait and see how you'll try to whitewash the supporting female character's actions later. In the car, Mr. and Mrs. James asked about my adoptive parents. I raised an eyebrow, indicating that I had them sent to prison 5 years ago on charges of child trafficking and abuse. They're probably still sewing in prison now. I've known for a long time that I wasn't their biological child. After all, no one would be so cruel to their own child. The atmosphere around became awkward again, and everyone tacitly fell silent. I didn't try to please Grant as the comments suggested. Instead, I closed my eyes to rest and organize the chaotic thoughts that had been troubling me. From the barrage, I know I seem to be the cannon fodder female supporting character in this tragic B-story. The female lead is Sophia, and Grant is the obsessive male second lead. The male lead is Frank, the heir of the Green family, who is engaged to the James family. Later, Sophia will be physically and emotionally tormented by these two in the name of love, finally couldn't bear it and jumped off the building to commit suicide. Only then did the male lead and the second male lead feel deep regret. They turned their anger toward me, who had once tripped her up and bullied her. In the plot, they tortured me in many ways, and every time they tortured me, they made me say sorry to Sophia's memorial photo. Finally, they were thrown into the sea to feed the fish. This plot is absolutely insane. Wasn't it the male lead and the second male lead who truly drove the female lead to her death, yet they blame all the mistakes on me? Trying to ease their guilt in this way, I silently decided to keep my distance from these two crazy guys in the future. Finally, I became the daughter of a wealthy family. I must find a way to make as much money as possible. As for Sophia, I have no interest in meddling in her affairs. As long as I don't bully her, the rest shouldn't be blamed on me, right? Back at James' house, Mr. and Mrs. James went off to work. They left me with Sophia. Sophia took me to the room. The room is cluttered with a lot of miscellaneous items, and all the furniture inside is old. It's clear how little importance James and his wife place on me, their biological daughter. As the comments said, they have always favored sons over daughters, believing that daughters are merely tools for exchanging family interests. Sophia stood at the door, pursed her lips, her voice filled with helplessness. "Sis, don't be mad. This time was too rushed. So Mom and Dad didn't have time to tidy up your room, but I wiped everything down this morning, and Mom and Dad gave me money to help you fix things up. Whatever you like, I'll go buy it in the next few days." Sophia said all this in one breath and finally let out a sigh of relief, then rubbed the back of her head, as if worried I'd give her a slap on the back of the head like I did to Wilson. I smiled and touched the tables and chairs. They were indeed quite clean, shrugging indifferently. I said, just buy whatever you think is best. I'm not picky, but I do like gold, the color of real gold. Seeing my smile, Sophia's eyes lit up instantly. She picked up the notebook and started writing. I thought she was making a list of things to buy later. A glance out of the corner of my eye revealed that she had also written a small line of text below. Sister likes gold. I need to work hard and save money to buy gold for her in the future. I looked at her in confusion. Is this girl perhaps a people pleaser? I've spent less than 5 hours with her in total and haven't treated her particularly well, yet she's planning to buy me gold. After writing this, Sophia hurriedly left, as if there was something very important waiting for her to do next. In the evening, James's family still prepared a lavish dinner. While eating heartily, I answered Mr. and Mrs. James's questions, after learning that I dropped out of high school in my senior year. They decided to send me to a prestigious school. I casually asked, is Sophia also at that school? One sentence, and the people at the dinner table fell silent again. I don't understand how I always manage to make them go silent. Can you not overthink so much? In the end, it was Grant who spoke up. If Anna doesn't like it, why not transfer Sophia to the 6th middle school? That way, they'll see each other less and are less likely to have conflicts. Mr. and Mrs. James nodded in agreement. The barrage can't hold back. The supporting female character is causing trouble again. No, 6 high school is the worst in the city. If the female lead goes there, she'll definitely be bullied to death. Exactly, the second male lead is taking advantage of the situation to make the female lead even more isolated and helpless, so she has no choice but to rely on him and see him as her only salvation. I'm really disgusted. James's parents get 1 slap, the second male lead gets 2 slaps, and the supporting female character gets a full-on 18 dragon subduing palms. Wait. Did I say something? But it was just a casual question. How did it turn into this? Watching Mr. and Mrs. James decide to send Sophia to No. 6 high school with just a few words, I spoke up directly. Has the family gone bankrupt? Can't afford to send both daughters to a private high school anymore. Mr. and Mrs. James were taken aback and immediately denied it. How is that possible? If that's the case, Sophia and I go to the same school. There's no need to transfer her away. After saying that, I went back to eating. I looked up and met Sophia's grateful gaze. I immediately averted my gaze. I just hoped she wouldn't look at me like that. I hate that kind of look the most. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Grant. He still wore a perfect smile, though his hand gripping the chopsticks unconsciously tightened. James's family worked efficiently. Within a few days, I was able to go to school with Sophia, not being in the same class. Sophia kept chattering non-stop from the moment we got on the car, telling me about the school's location and things to be aware of, saying she was in the class next door and that I could always go to her if anything came up. I felt like my ears were about to grow calluses, so I had to send her away, because I had fallen behind on a lot of lessons. I didn't understand much in the previous classes. Unable to resist the drowsiness, I ended up falling asleep with my head on the desk. By the time I woke up, the class had already ended. Suddenly, a barrage of comments appeared. The female lead was dragged into the restroom and bullied by several female classmates, because the boys they liked had all written love letters to the female lead. They had long held a grudge against her. They hadn't acted on it earlier only because she was the daughter of the James family. Yeah, now that we know the female lead is adopted, she doesn't even bother pretending anymore. Right after class, she drags the female lead to the restroom. Looking at it now, the supporting female character is actually better. At least she hasn't laid a hand on the female lead so far. I watch the barrage of comments one by one, my hands unconsciously clench, and I slump back onto the desk, closing my eyes. I keep telling myself not to meddle in other people's business. I'm just a cannon fodder supporting character. If she can't stand on her own, no one can help her. I can help her this time, but what about the next time? I can't help her for a lifetime. Gradually, the sentence the girl had written in her notebook resurfaced in my mind, her sparkling gaze, the incessant chatter in her ears, and as the barrage of comments said, her tragic future outcome. In the restroom, Sophia was cornered by several people. The leading girls slapped her. "Aren't you good at playing the innocent? All the boys like you, you fake, I'll make you stop pretending," as she spoke. The girl kicked her in the stomach again. Sophia grunted and fell to the ground. At that moment, the bathroom door suddenly swung open. I stood frozen in the doorway. The girl with a high ponytail turned to look at me and smiled. "You must be James' real daughter, right? We're going to teach this reckless girl a lesson. Want to lend a hand?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I counted silently in my head. 8 people? A bit too many. Then, I slowly walked toward the tool room at the end. Pick up the mop. Dip it into the dirty water from the toilet, and swing it directly at them. The dirty water splashed onto their faces, and everyone screamed and backed away. Taking advantage of the moment, I grabbed the hair of the girl who had just asked me to lend a hand, kicked the back of her knee, and forced her to kneel in front of Sophia. "Apologize." My voice was icy. The other girls, coming to their senses, wanted to step forward to help, but they were all frozen in place, too scared to move. Intimidated by my icy glare. What a joke. I've dealt with thugs who collect protection money at street stalls, scaring a few high schoolers as well within my ability. The girl kneeling on the ground refused to back down. Why should I apologize to her? She's just a bitch. Slap. Before she could finish her sentence, I slapped her directly. I raised the mop in front of her. "If you don't apologize, I'll shove this mop into your mouth." We locked eyes, my expression serious, with no hint of joking. The girl finally gave in. Bowing my head, I said to Sophia, "I'm sorry." I let go of her, and the few people who had been standing at the door quickly stepped forward to help her away. I sat down next to Sophia, watching as she searched for something on herself. "What are you looking for?" "Disinfectant wipes," Sophia answered me. I was speechless. I might have accidentally hit her with the mop just now. "Miss, it's not the time to be so particular, is it?" As soon as I finished speaking, my hand was pulled over by Sophia. Her delicate hand covered my rough one, meticulously wiping it clean with a disinfectant wipe. "Bit by bit, your hands got dirty earlier. They need to be cleaned." I stared blankly at Sophia, unable to utter a word. Bullet comments. "Woo woo, the little sister is so sweet. Even though she's dirtier herself, she still wipes the female supporting character's hands first." Actually, I think the female supporting character is pretty good too. She says she doesn't care, but her actions are honest. She rushed over to back up the female lead. "Yeah, I'm even starting to ship the two of them." "Come on, that's only because the male lead hasn't appeared yet. Once he shows up, the female supporting character will only focus on opposing the female lead." Exactly. Stop trying to defend the female supporting character's fans. A villain is a villain, and they can never be whitewashed in this lifetime. Reading the comments, I couldn't help but wonder, what does the male lead look like? What could make me go so crazy? I helped Sophia out of the restroom. Just as I turned the corner, I nearly bumped into a tall figure. The man was slender with well-defined brow bones, looking as if he had rushed over in a hurry. The moment I got a clear look at his face, the comments flooded the screen. All of them were shouting, "Male lead, male lead." So this is Sophia's fiancé, Frank. Seeing Sophia, Frank's anxious expression seemed to relax. His tone turned cold. "I heard you got beaten up." Sophia nodded gently. Frank snorted coldly. "I told you before not to dress so flashy for school, but you just wouldn't listen." "I didn't." Sophia retorted softly. "What do you mean you didn't? Otherwise, why would they pick on you and not someone else?" That made my fists clench. Sophia just had reddened eyes and couldn't say anything in rebuttal. She had been oppressed for too long. Growing up in such an environment, it's no wonder that even as an adult, she tends to blame herself first when things go wrong. Bullet comments. Female lead. Don't be intimidated by the male lead. He may seem cold on the surface, but he actually has a secret crush on you. The moment he heard you were being bullied, he rushed over immediately. The male lead said this because he likes the female lead and is afraid others will notice her beauty and take her away. Who understands the male lead's stubbornness? It's so adorable. If I were the female lead, I would definitely listen to everything he says. I'm shocked by the values in the comments. Are these comments really made by humans, without even the most basic respect? How can there be love? Frank was about to say something else. I punched him in the face directly. Frank stared at me in shock. How dare you hit me? I'm hitting you because the moment you opened your mouth, it was like spewing filth. Who do you think you are? Do you think everyone has to listen to you? Let me tell you, if you dare to boss Sophia around again, I'll hit you every time I see you. After saying that, I left with Sophia. Why is the plot different? Isn't the female antagonist supposed to try every trick to seduce the male lead? The female supporting character must be playing hard to get, using this method to attract the male lead's attention. I took Sophia to the infirmary, but the staff wasn't there, so I applied the medicine to her myself. After all, when I used to get beaten, I would also apply medicine to myself. While applying the medicine, Sophia kept stealing glances at me with her big eyes, looking as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. Just say whatever you want to say. I spoke directly. Sophia seemed to have finally mustered up her courage, took a deep breath, and said, "Sister, am I really the white lotus and green tea they say I am?" "Yes," I nodded without hesitation. Hearing this, Sophia's expression visibly fell. The lotus symbolizes purity and beauty, rising unstained from the mud. Green tea represents youthful vitality. Doesn't that sound a lot like you? After saying this, I looked down at Sophia and noticed the girl was gazing at me with shining eyes. Really, am I that good? I somewhat awkwardly averted my gaze. Nodding, I began to educate her. If you ever face bullying, you must be brave and fight back. Even if you can't win, you should still fight back. Let them know that even if you lose 1,000, you'll make sure they lose 500. Only then will they know you're not to be trifled with and won't dare to bully you easily. One must always be able to stand on their own. Sophia listened carefully, word by word, and nodded emphatically. "Sister, I understand. You're so kind." "Am I kind? Am I really kind?" "Actually, I'm not doing well at all." I said all that just so she wouldn't bother me again in the future. Bullet comments. The supporting female character said it so well. I've long been fed up with those terms online that stigmatize women. Who understands the feeling of redemption at this moment? The world truly can't do without girls. Am I the only one who thinks the female lead just hit the male lead a bit rudely? Yes, you're the only one who thinks that. In the days that followed, I occasionally taught Sophia some self-defense techniques. After all, I know a little bit of martial arts myself, although it's an unorthodox approach. Sometimes the unconventional methods are the most effective. When you're at a disadvantage, you must accurately identify your opponent's weaknesses, such as the eyes or throat. Aim to strike with one hit. If it's a male, aim for the lower body. Women can also pull hair. During the demonstration, I occasionally accidentally grabbed Sophia's hair. The little girl wasn't afraid of pain at all and just grinned at me foolishly. She looked a bit like the little yellow dog I encountered in the village before. I wanted to teach her a lesson like I did with Wilson, to stop her from grinning so much. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to scold her. I thought Sophia would always remain this obedient and well-behaved. Unexpectedly, the first time she talked back to me was when I scored last in the class on the monthly exam. That day, Sophia came to me with a stack of study materials, looking quite annoyed, and announced that she would start tutoring me from then on. I slumped onto the desk right away. No need, right? My grades have been poor for a while now, but I'm still doing just fine, aren't I? Sophia immediately shoved the English workbook into my hands. "It's different, sis. Didn't you tell me before that a person has to stand on their own 2 feet? In today's society, making money no longer relies on brute force, but on intelligence. Do you want to miss out on opportunities to get rich in the future because you lack the skills? Get rich." Sophia's words made me sit up straight immediately. That's right. Once you're rich, you can buy a lot of gold. I'll learn. I'll learn right away. No one can stop me from studying. It has to be said, Sophia has some experience with persuasion up her sleeve. With just a few words, she made me willingly start studying. In the end, with her fully packed study schedule, I embarked on my own challenging journey of catching up. Frank would occasionally show up in front of Sophia to make his presence known. But now, Sophia either ignores him or snaps back at him. She directly made Frank's face turn green with anger. Even I have to admit, Sophia's words can be incredibly sharp at times. After finishing dinner in the evening, under Sophia's watchful eye, I immediately rushed off to study without a moment's delay. Suddenly, I remembered that I had forgotten my water bottle and was about to go back when, at the corner, I saw Grant stopping Sophia. "Sophia, Why haven't you been looking for your brother lately? If you have any grievances, you can tell your brother, don't hide away and cry by yourself. Your brother will always be on your side." Sophia took a step back. "I'm not wronged. My sister said that girls aren't crybabies and shouldn't cry over trivial matters." Grant's expression stiffened, and he stepped forward. "But I'm your brother, the one person who will never abandon you," Sophia immediately retorted, pointing at the news channel in the living room. "You're wrong, brother. The party and the country won't abandon me either." I couldn't help but chuckle. Grant froze in place, unsure of what to say, as Sophia had already turned and gone to the garden to exercise. Meanwhile, the live comments were continuously praising Grant. "Look at the male lead's possessive gaze. I'm already shipping them. Super possessive Yandra male lead and the incredibly oblivious female lead. This is absolutely top tier. It seems my destiny is to ship the most unconventional couples." The female lead has no idea that the male lead's rival calls her name every night. He's absolutely obsessed with her. I couldn't help but feel disgusted after reading this. Is this not sexual harassment? This kind of Yandra character is best left in fiction. Little Tiger Bot document anti-piracy. Choose Little Tiger for bookfinding robot. Stable and reliable, no pitfalls. In reality, whoever encounters it will be scared. These barrage commenters would definitely run faster than anyone else. Just as I was carefully watching the barrage, Grant's expression began to gradually darken, clenching both fists. Watching Sophia's departing figure, I slowly spoke. "Sophia, I will never let you leave me. You can only be mine." After Sophia's hellish tutoring, my mock exam results finally reached the middle of the grade. As a reward, Sophia gave me half a day off. I decided to go to the hospital to visit Wilson's mother. Aunt Chen's surgery was very successful, and she has now been transferred to a general ward. She asked me about my well-being, and her energy and spirit seemed much better than before. I went home feeling relieved and prepared to do another set of math practice papers tonight. Tasting the sweetness of learning, I am now full of motivation. But when I opened the door, I found the living room pitch dark. There was no one in the house, not even the nanny. A bad feeling crept into my heart. The comments at this moment, the female lead was drugged and taken away by the second male lead, the supporting female character, "Go save her quickly." The second male lead's expression just now was so terrifying. Is he going to do something to harm the female lead? I was wrong. I'll never like any Yandra second male lead again. The second male lead took the female lead to his privately bought mountaintop villa. He's a complete madman. My heart skipped a beat from what the bullet comments said. Wasn't this plot supposed to happen after Sophia graduated from college? Could it be that Sophia's change prompted Grant to act earlier? Without a second thought, I immediately called the police based on the address mentioned in the bullet comments. Then, taking Wilson along, I called the driver and immediately headed up to the mountain top. On the way, I learned from the bullet comments that Grant had tied Sophia to the bed with chains. Surrounding them was an enclosed iron cage. The way Grant looked at Sophia was as if he were looking at a disobedient pet. The more Sophia struggled, the deeper his smile became. He told Sophia that this would be her home from now on. Whatever Sophia wanted, he would provide. But if Sophia tried to escape, he would sever the tendons in her hands and feet, ensuring she could never leave this bed. Fortunately, Grant's villa had keypad locks, and Donmu knew the codes. We made our way through without any obstacles. When we reached the bedroom door, Wilson forced it open with a strong push. What came into view was Grant holding a knife, gently tracing it over Sophia's skin, about to lift the hem of her clothes. "Damn it, beast!" Wilson immediately pounced on Grant, knocking him to the ground, and the two began to wrestle fiercely. Having grown up fighting others, Wilson quickly gained the upper hand, pinning Grant to the ground and beating him mercilessly. I immediately took off my coat and draped it over Sophia, holding her tightly in my arms, feeling the girl in my arms trembling, yet she still bravely bit her lip to hold back her tears. I pressed her head against my shoulder. "Silly, just cry if you want to." Sophia seemed to finally let her guard down, reaching out to hold me tightly and crying out loud. I looked around the scene. The room was filled with photos of Grant and Sophia, some of which were intimate pictures that Grant had photoshopped. No wonder Sophia would have a mental breakdown in this room in the future and end up taking her own life. By the time the police arrived, Grant had already been beaten by Wilson until his face was covered in blood. We were all taken to the police station together, However, when giving his statement, Grant denied kidnapping Sophia, claiming instead that he was just taking his sister to see his new home. He kept coaxing Sophia with words, trying to break down her psychological defenses. Right, little sister, hurry and help your brother explain. If the police misunderstand this matter, your brother won't be able to help you anymore. If your classmates at school find out, they'll only look down on you even more and bully you. That's not what you want to see, is it? Grant once again flashed his standard smile, but it no longer carried the warmth it once had. Instead, exuding an eerie and terrifying aura, ignoring my attempts to stop her, Sophia slowly walked toward him. A flicker of delight crossed Grant's face as he hurried forward to meet her. The next second, Sophia lifted her foot and kicked hard at Grant's lower body. A crack sound was heard, as if something had shattered. This was followed by Grant's piercing scream. We were all stunned, and Sophia's firm voice rang in our ears. Officer, I have a recording that can prove Grant was indeed planning to kidnap me. It took the police officer a moment to process this. Then he immediately took Sophia's phone to retrieve the recording, which was filled with Grant's appalling remarks. Sophia turned to me with a smile and said, "Sis, did I kick accurately this time?" I silently gave her a thumbs up, not only accurate, but also ruthless. The police officers' faces turned pale as they watched. Bullet comments, "The female lead kicked so well. The second male lead is truly disgusting, and he even dared to threaten her. He deserved to be kicked a few more times." Woo-woo, thank goodness the supporting female character arrived in time, otherwise, I can't even imagine what would have happened to the female lead. I declare that from now on, I will forever support the female lead and the female supporting character. If anyone dares to speak ill of them again, I will fight them to the end. This incident once again proves how important it is for a man to be emotionally stable. Grant was diagnosed with a mental illness and cannot be sentenced. He can only be confined in a mental institution for the rest of his life. Upon learning that Grant had been confined to a mental institution, Mr. James was so enraged that he suffered a sudden stroke and was hospitalized. Mrs. James cried so much that she nearly lost her eyesight. As I stepped into Mr. James's hospital room, suddenly a water cup was thrown and landed at my feet. "You bastard, get your brother out of the mental hospital quickly, or else I won't let you off." Mr. James was stammering. I looked down at the mess on the floor and let out a cold laugh. Sure, if he gets out of the mental hospital, he might just end up in court. Is it a hospital room or a prison cell? You choose. Mr. James was so angry that his hands trembled as he pointed at me and yelled, "You're nothing but a jinx. I never should have brought you back." Before Mr. James could finish his sentence, I had already slapped him across the face. "How dare you hit me? I am your father." Father, I looked coldly at Mr. James and sneered. "The DNA report you provided, it used the sample from when I sold blood at the age of 10, didn't it? You've known all along that I'm your daughter. But you only came looking for me now because you're aware of Grant's disgusting intentions, aren't you? You're afraid that one day he might lose control and harm Sophia, so you brought me back in advance to secure the alliance with the Green family, just in case, right?" After hearing my words, Mr. and Mrs. James turned pale instantly. Mrs. James asked me in a trembling voice, How do you know these things?" Naturally, I wouldn't tell them that it was the bullet comments that informed me. "You don't need to worry about how I know. Just understand that I'm the only one you can rely on now. The doctor said the old man's illness will keep him bedridden for the rest of his life. I will take full control of the company from now on, and before I graduate, I will hand it over to professional managers to manage. After you're discharged from the hospital, I will find you an average nursing home. If you want to live comfortably for the rest of your lives, behave yourselves and don't entertain any more foolish ideas." After saying this, I left without looking back. Behind me were the sounds of Mr. James continuously cursing and Mrs. James sobbing. I feel no ripple of emotion or guilt within me. These two are utterly unworthy of being parents. Even Grant became the person he is today under their increasingly harsh and almost perverse demands day by day. In the days that followed, Sophia and I devoted ourselves wholeheartedly to preparing for the college entrance exams. With a clear goal in mind, we worked even harder. Finally, after the last exam was over, Sophia raised her hands to the sky and shouted, "Freedom at last." At that moment, Frank emerged from somewhere. He looked at Sophia and expressed his desire to talk to her alone. It means you want me to leave. I glanced at Sophia, and she agreed. I pretended to leave on the surface, but I was actually worried that Frank might do something extreme, just like Grant did, so I secretly hid in the bushes, wanting to see what Frank was planning to do. And Frank only apologized and confessed to Sophia in a very formal manner. Sophia, I really like you. All those excessive things I did and said to you before were just to get your attention. Can you forgive me? Sophia looked at Frank's face, a faint smile curling at the corner of her mouth. Frank, you know what? I once had a dream where I really married you. In a single sentence, Frank's face lit up with surprise. Thinking Sophia was about to agree to him, he couldn't help but smile. But in the end, it was through your and Grant's constant belittling and denial that I developed depression, began to doubt myself, and ultimately met my death. Hearing this, Frank's expression changed, and he quickly explained, No, I won't let that happen to you, really not. Sophia stared straight at Frank, as if trying to see through the truest nature of his heart. Frank grew less and less confident, eventually lowering his head. Unable to refute firmly any longer, Sophia spoke up. I have a feeling that if I were still the old Sophia, that would be my fate. Frank's eyes gradually reddened at the corners, his voice turning bitter. But I'm already changing. I will love you well from now on and never make you sad again. Why can't you give me a chance? Because compared to being loved, I care more about my own feelings now. Sophia was not swayed by Frank's tears, her tone remaining calm. Frank, in the past, due to my parents' oppressive style of parenting and my own personality, I never dared to express my truest feelings to anyone. I thought everything I said was wrong, but now, I can tell you with absolute certainty that I have never liked you. No one would like someone who constantly puts them down. The way you express your affection disgusts me. Please stop liking me from now on, being liked by you. I think it's a very unfortunate thing. After saying that, Sophia ignored Frank's pale expression, turned and left. Frank wanted to reach out and grab her, but caught nothing. In the end, he left in loneliness. I am very satisfied with Sophia's performance. Wilson suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Boss, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to be eavesdropping here? I slapped the back of his head. What's it to you? Mind your own business. Lately, Sophia and I have been roasting the barrage comments so hard that they've become all pouty. And their attitude toward Frank has long since soured. Can the male lead just get lost? I'm so annoyed every time I see him. All I want now is to watch the story between the female lead and the supporting female character. Exactly, that trash man only slows down the female lead and the supporting female character's progress. It's so irritating just seeing him. Wait, is this even the same female lead I used to know? Where's my sweet, delicate, flower-like girl from before? Who says the female lead has to be delicate and soft? I think the current female lead is better, decisive, brave, with her own goals, and full of vibrant energy. Exactly, we women are not delicate little flowers, we are evergreen trees. The female supporting character touched the female lead's hand and even drank from the same water bottle as her. It seems straight women really know how to serve up the drama. Wait, is this right? After some time, the college entrance exam results were finally released. Sophia did very well, and her scores were hidden. In less than half a day, she received calls from several prestigious universities. Although I didn't do as well as Sophia, my results were still good. They were just enough to get me into a mid-tier 985 university. Eventually, Sophia chose the best medical school in the capital because of her passion for medicine. I enjoy making money, so I chose the finance department at a local 985 university. This will also make it easier for me to take over the James family's company after graduation. After we both finalized our college choices, one day, I woke up and found that I could no longer see the bullet comments. I don't know why they disappeared. Perhaps the appearance of the bullet comments was meant to save Sophia and me. Now that the mission is complete, they naturally vanished. The weather was very nice on the day I took Sophia to the airport. Sophia's eyes were swollen from crying, and she held on to me tightly, refusing to let go. Sis, I'll come back to see you as soon as I'm on break. You absolutely cannot forget me, even if I'm not here. You have to eat on time and sleep on time. Don't just make do because you're busy. That's really bad for your health. I pushed the person away in disgust. Looking at the large wet patch on my chest, with a helpless expression. Finally, amid the constant boarding announcements from the airport speakers, Sophia reluctantly made her way to the gate. As if remembering something, Sophia immediately put down her luggage and ran back. What's wrong again? Before I could finish speaking, a gift box was shoved into my arms. Open it when you get back. After saying that, Sophia quickly ran back, waved at me from a distance, and then gradually disappeared into the boarding gate. In the car, I opened Sophia's gift box. Inside was unexpectedly an exquisite gold necklace. There was also a card that read, "Sis, I will earn more money in the future and buy you lots and lots of gold." Wilson, who was sitting next to me, looked at my face and exclaimed in surprise, "Boss, didn't you tell us we shouldn't cry so easily? Why are your eyes red now? Shut up if you don't want to die." 8 years later. Today I just finished a high-level meeting. Feeling a bit tired, I casually took out a cigarette, lit it, and had just taken a puff. Sophia's voice came from the door. "Sis, I have something to tell you." Sophia pushed the door open, and before I could even throw away the cigarette, she caught me red-handed. "Sis, didn't I tell you, smoking is bad for your health? You promised me you wouldn't smoke anymore. So why are you still doing it behind my back?" I quickly threw the cigarette into the trash can and raised my hand to swear that I hadn't smoked in a long time. I was just too tired today, so I thought I'd take a puff. Sophia sat on the sofa angrily, refusing to look at me. I felt like a father caught doing something wrong by his daughter. I was already starting to regret it, thinking I shouldn't have sent her to medical school in the first place. Now, Sophia has to have a say in everything related to health. She's just like a bossy housekeeper. But the problem is, everything she says makes sense, and I can't come up with a single word to argue back. In the end, I could only change the subject. "You mentioned earlier that you had something to tell me." Speaking of this, Sophia's expression became a bit unnatural. Finally, she stammered it out. "What? You said you're in a relationship." I sprang to my feet in an instant. Sophia's face turned bright red. "Oh, hush, keep your voice down." I tried to calm myself and asked in a low voice, "Who is he?" "He's a senior from our lab. He's been very kind to me, often encouraging me and giving me strength when I feel lost and unsure. I feel like being with him makes me a better person." After saying that, Sophia immediately grabbed her bag and left. "Sis, take your time to process this. I'm heading out now, and I'll bring him to have a meal with you when I have the time." Before leaving, she didn't forget to add, "Oh, and remember to stop smoking." I wanted to chase after her, but I bumped into a broad chest at the door. Wilson's magnetic and puzzled voice came from above. "What's wrong?" It was then that I realized Wilson had grown so much taller and bigger than me without me noticing. I glared at him irritably. What else could it be? Sophia is in a relationship. Hearing this, Wilson coughed awkwardly. "Actually, it's normal for someone her age to be in a relationship." I gave him a suspicious look. "You haven't taken a liking to someone in our company too, have you?" After all, Wilson is now so outstanding that he doesn't need to stay by my side anymore. Ever since he cured his mother's illness, Wilson has been studying hard and was always a prominent figure at the university. Right after graduation, I received offers from several Fortune 500 companies, but he didn't accept any of them and directly joined my company. I didn't respond, my eyes fixed on Grant, instinctively shielding Sophia behind me. Transfer, thinking about it this way, it does seem suspicious. Wilson's ears instantly turned red, but he didn't deny it. I subconsciously took out a cigarette, but as soon as I lit it, Wilson snuffed it out. The man frowned. "Anna, don't smoke." I was annoyed. "What's wrong with you? You used to call me sister or boss, but now you dare to call me by my name directly." Hearing this, Wilson's ears turned even redder, with the redness threatening to spread to his face. Yet he couldn't help muttering under his breath, "You're not that much older than me, either." Finally, as if mustering up all his courage, he seemed about to say something to me, but just as he called my name, my phone rang. "What? There's an issue with the production chain. I'll head over right now." After hanging up the phone, I didn't bother to hear what Wilson had to say and quickly left with my things. Wilson looked at the documents on my desk and let out a bitter laugh. "Forget it. There will be plenty of time." He turned around and quickly caught up with me. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.